The Hedgeless Horseman here. Today is January 24 of 2022. It's a wild day. We have US stock markets rolling over, or keep going down, I should say. Gold actually holding firm, silver's down the tubes, along with copper, oil, Bitcoin, and all the other cryptos have been slaughtered pretty much. So again, pretty eventful day, and I thought I'd just make a short video where I go through what has happened since the last two times we got a major RSI break and trend break in the GDX SPY ratio, and what to expect, because I mean impulsively one might think that okay, after even if history repeats, if we get the best a major bottom in miners or a major buy signal, let's say, one probably thinks that it should start ramping ASAP basically. But and I looked into the previous two bottoms, what when we saw this, and what actually happened to the miners, because this is the GDX SPY ratio, obviously. I mean, and here is from last week, I think, where I outlined some more stuff. You can see the RSI breaks. Here you have GDX, and obviously it looks like a. And this is debatable. One could say that this was actually the break, so it would actually be here. This big green candle here, and the big green candle we, created last week, which is a clear RSI break, clear downtrend break as well. Uh, these these occasions, one might argue that okay, the actual breakout candle from the RSI perspective, the short snip here, didn't break the actual trend line. It actually got pushed down and then went back up. But anyway, let's just go with assuming that this was the actual break and this wasn't the actual break, and that this green candle was the actual break and not this or this, and this is more obvious than the rest of obviously. So let's take a look at Barrick Gold first. Okay, this is what happened. I've outlined the GDX SPY break week date here, here, and here. And the first time during the January bottom of 2016. Here you can also see, interestingly, that Barrick performed an RSI break as well, and you see this downsloping channel. And after, I mean, shortly, the 2 weeks after the GDX SPY ratio broke out, Barrick started ramping hard, and here we have let's say it broke here, and then it well, I guess it just went sideways for a while. Actually went sideways for many months, Barrick, before it started to ramp. But either way, I mean, this was obviously, in hindsight, great buy, and a bit of a similar pattern. I mean, consolidation at least, and you have like a U bottom here. And right now, I mean, we're like the two previous times, we are in a downward channel, and the RSI break on the GDX SPY came when Barrick is at the end of the channel. Interestingly, it looks like Barrick Gold is actually hasn't made an RSI break itself, but obviously, I mean, if this breaks, we're gonna break out of this channel, which one could say, I guess, is some kind of bull flag. And if we look at GDX, previous two bottoms, I have the dates of the GDX. This date, this date, and then this date. So what happened after the GDX SPY ratio broke? Well, first of all, you can see this green candle. It's not a big bullish candle because it has quite of a tail. Interestingly, this time around when we GDX by Y broke, we also got a big tail on a green candle. This was more of a real green candle. Anyway, so again, it's like I didn't have time to make this video during the weekend. I had other stuff to do. But when I, after looking through the charts, I was kind of expecting that, okay, if what happened the first time, miners actually went down almost 15%, GDX, 15%. I mean, that's quite a move. Minus 15% after a breakout. And from the top of the next week, which would be this week, counting now, it actually went down for 4 weeks. So the previous major GDX SPY bottom signals were followed by miners going down almost 9 to 15%. So that's kind of, that's a pretty good move. And obviously that's very contrary to what one would expect. It's like, okay, you have this, major buy signal that's marked the two last bottoms, almost, on the exact tick or exact candle. And now you get Monday today and you see, everything is falling. And GDX is actually down 3%, actually down 4% earlier today. I will note that what these indices tend to do, major bottoms, is that they like to make false breakdowns first. So here, interestingly, we have a multi-month correction, and then you have a buy signal here, and within 2 weeks it makes it breaks down instead. So it goes from, okay, if you look at the buy signals, like, okay, that's good, super bullish, and then it just, it creates the worst thing imaginable, let's say, breaks, medium-term support. But funnily enough, almost within 2 weeks, it reverts back and just trucks higher. Here it wasn't the exact kind of thing, but here it actually went down like GDX went down 10% after the day of the, or the 4 first weeks after the buy signal in GDX SPY. Previously it had made again with that let's say bankers like to create max panic before it reverses, let's say. So you have this level, and just before, this actually marked the bottom like this. So the breaking of these trend lines, major support zones at the end of major corrections, marked the exact bottom. And this is when traders and anyone and their mother, 95% of people would be scared shitless right here, because they're looking at price. They use that as due diligence. They don't consider the fact that, okay, let's say miners should be valued here and you're down here. It's like, okay, super easy buy from a long-term perspective because it will reverse to the mean. But if you don't think like that, obviously when it gets cheaper you get scared instead and want to sell, and traders obviously were selling here, let's say, and they sold this break. So those ticks, when at the end of long corrections, when things couldn't get worse, they broke major support, and that was the exact candle which produced the best returns. If you only bought when the short looked max horrible after a long time of being horrible, you'd buy the actual bottom ticks. And interestingly enough, Corona, COVID flash crash, broke this support level before turning up again, and I think it went up from bottom here when nobody wants to buy, up 180% in just March. 5 months. 5 months. That kind of return could last you a few years. So And I actually, interesting enough, I had done, this was a few years ago. I guess I was on to them back then already. In 2017, I had put up a chart on my website where I expected a move like this, that after this long downtrend, and you see the major support forming here, I would expect a breakdown before heading higher. What happened? Yep, it took actually longer. This consolidation here, just bouncing on support, took like a year longer than I expected. Then it broke support, and yes, this was a major buying opportunity up to this level, which was here. Then down, started to go down. And then it actually, started to go higher. Then we had the flash crash. Obviously, I didn't foresee that. Otherwise, it would be almost perfect, except for the year delay. And it hit. It actually went up to 40, almost 47, and I had, yeah. So almost on the exact dollar amount, which is kind of funny. And not that I'm good at TA or do that all the time, but I just found this when I went through some stuff, and it's like just funny that it almost exactly played out like this. So with that in mind, just to recap, excuse me, long downtrend, break of support before rocketing higher. And this was within 2 weeks of the GDX SPY buy signal, which is this one. Okay. Next time, the break actually came a bit earlier. I guess one could say, depending, one could say that this was a support line as well, and this was just the lowest one, and it actually broke down for 1 week. And actually, after the buy, it also broke down. Point is that when you see support breaks after long downtrends and consolidations, let's say, especially when you're in here it broke support as well, but it just kept going. But I think this is not, given that gold is at 1835. The risks are to the upside for sure. So it's like I'm not even gonna pretend that I think that we're gonna have a bear in miners, because gold would have to go so low from where it is for these gold miners and juniors not to be cheap. So it's basically a non-issue. I bought my first mining stock in August 2015 because they looked so cheap, and they look even cheaper now. So it's selling is not even on the table. This is time to be buying. So I don't really, these buy signals, as said, I would be 100% long either way. I would be fully deployed in miners, simply because the price to value gap is so incredibly large right now. Probably the best risk reward since I think it's better risk reward now than in 2015, 16 actually. Again, given the price of gold. But with that said, okay, so we have these false breakouts or breakdowns, typically close to the shortly after the major GDX SPY buy signal, and we know that again. We've seen it. Supports. They like to break supports before they start absolutely trucking higher. So okay, what do you know? Support. First of all, I remember when this happened, and I was, okay, they're gonna break, let's say, this support here, and this support, broke. First, you get an upswing here, then an upswing after this one, and now we're back. So that just means that this area has become an even more juicier support, because it's gonna get even more people bearish since it's stronger support zone, let's say. And after the buy signal, first in January 2016, uh, GDXJ went down 15%, broke the support, then went higher. 2018, after the following 4 weeks, down 11%, around 11%, broke support, and then it tracked higher. So okay, so that's a mean of like, I don't know, 12.5% down. And if we look at, okay, this is the buy zone. Depending on where one, I guess, uh, puts the top, let's say, because 17 would already be there. But let's say we expect 13% from the top here. Yes, that would be breaking this support. And if we use this, minus 13% would be down here at around 35. So the short I had prepared in the weekend was that, okay, given this history, we should expect that the next 2 to 4 weeks are gonna be kind of like lackluster, and we should break this support, I think, and that's gonna be the best buying opportunity you're gonna see in. Well, we have since this point in time we haven't seen a better in 7 years. So I'm mustering all the dry powder I can get my hands on right now, for these following next 2 to 4 weeks, because I think, and the way that it has been going today, I mean, gold is barely down, but GDX is down. So we have kind of a similar start, like after the both previous buy signals. So I don't think they can't say no to breaking this, because that's going to wash out the last of the weak hands, and it's going to get the traders who are momentum followers to simply be positioned wrong before they turn it up. So everyone that's had thought about selling pretty much going to be out. The traders are going to be positioned wrong. So that means it would be even more fuel for these major upturns, because okay, if all the sellers are out, there's only potential buyers left, and if the traders are wrongly positioned, they're forced buyers as well. So maybe the traders, when this becomes a false breakout, they come in, push it higher, and then the weak hands who love momentum trades start to pay attention, and then you have these, I mean, this was way overvalued up here, because not way overvalued, but it was overvalued. I think gold reached 1300, silver like 28, now gold is at 1835. So this is something akin to what I expect, actually, especially since I saw how Monday today started. Because first I had two different scenarios. One that we would actually break out right off the bat, and that would be probably be obvious today. And the second one, that history would repeat, that we would have around 11 to 15% down in miners over the last 2 to 4 weeks, and that would be break support, create the best opportunity we might see in years, and yeah, then it's the next leg up, excuse me, has started. So again, it's like, I guess I'm doing this video because it's easy to be demoralized, and think that this will never end or whatever, especially if you are not a value investor, that you don't consider the fact that whatever you're buying today, you're getting something for it, and if there is no news out, there is nothing that has changed in value. Maybe your favorite junior has actually been out there doing field work and actually stumbled on a new outcrop today that was not known, for example, and still you see some juniors down 5 to 10%. So these movements, again, absolutely bullshit. It's just sentiment driven. It's more sellers than buyers today. Nothing has happened with your favorite junior. Many juniors should already be like 100% higher. And they will reverse to the mean. But just to give you a sense of a roadmap. Not that I can guarantee this, it's just that this is what happened the last 2 times following this exact buy signal. 2 to 4 weeks of minor sucking, down 11 to 15%, breaking support, and again, what do you know? That kind of retracement would actually break this support, and that's going to get max people on the wrong side of the trade, and boom, because here everyone is out and traders are positioned short, and then boom, then they turn it around and make the max amount of money. So, in my opinion, chill out. If you own something that is cheap, there's no reason to, be panicking anyway. And given what we saw last 2 times, this is actually what we should expect. A final flush out, some panic, should be over, end of Feb, let's say, and then we have a new, hopefully. We'll start to embark on a big, leg up again, and that would rhyme. I mean, if we're talking cyclicality, these are kind of close in time. So there's a lot of things pointing to a major bottom forming here, and a break of this support would just rhyme with every single other major bottom since 2015. Relax, do something productive. Don't look at your portfolio every day. Meaningless. It's just noise. Every day is 90% of every daily movement is just noise. Gold is actually up right now and miners are down, so there's you can't explain that logically anyway. So don't even try it. There's just more scared people today than typically. Thanks for listening. Subscribe to the channel if you want to get a heads up of when a new video is out. Thanks.